Hi, this is Zack Wheeler. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. We are in Clearwater, Florida. We are almost at the end.
Wow.
Week 2 of camp, Jim. It flies, baby.
It really does fly. You wait all winter for baseball season to come back, and it just goes pedal to the metal right away. And it's not even the season yet, but of course we're in spring training, and the games will begin on Saturday with the Phillies traveling to the middle of Florida, Lakeland, play the Tigers. And then on Sunday, they will host the Baltimore Orioles in their first home game here in Clearwater. Rob Thompson has not really announced his pitching plans for the early part of the Grapefruit League season. When he does that, you can kind of start getting out the calculator and figuring out who's going to line up where in the season opening rotation. But I think we can bet that once March 27th comes around in Washington, Zack Wheeler will make the opening day start for the Phillies, no?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Zack was the opening day starter last year. I remember it was like, Aaron Nola had started the previous few, and then Zack gets to start last year. And no doubt, and why wouldn't he? Such a fun guy to watch pitch. And I hate to say this but I really feel, my first few years covering the team, it was like Hamels and it was Halladay and Lee and Roy Oswalt. I kind of feel I didn't appreciate it as much as I did, just for whatever reason. But then when you see Zack Wheeler now and Aaron Nola now, these guys that go 200 innings every year, I just really find myself loving watching those guys pitch. Those are really fun days at the ballpark because Zack is a throwback, man.
Total
throwback.
He's a workhorse. He's one of the vanishing breed in Major League Baseball, the 200 inning starter. Last year, there were only 4 of them in the major leagues, and he was one of them, getting to exactly 200 innings in his last start of the season. I know that was important to him, and it's going to be important to him as he starts off this new 3-year extension with the Phillies. And, we were lucky enough to talk to him a little bit.
Yeah, we were. We've wanted to talk to Zack for a while because he's such a fascinating guy, and he really is a throwback in a lot of ways. You and I, we love his demeanor on the mound.
Yeah.
It's a total bulldog. He pitches deep into games. Of course, he's elite, which you have to be to pitch deep into games. But, we had Caleb Cotham on recently. We had JT Realmuto on recently, and both of those guys just really dug into like kind of what makes him great. And so Zack kind of explained kind of what makes him tick on the mound in the offseason, during the season, to kind of get him to that elite Cy Young caliber level.
And it's almost like he pitches like his personality. No BS, very serious, very efficient, and I'm going to attack you. And, last year he finished second in the Cy Young voting. I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of a tinge of disappointment. But, I mean, that's a hell of a season. You finished second in the Cy Young. He was, led the league in innings. He was second in the league in innings. And he led the league in OPS against and WHIP.
Yeah,
I believe
he was dominant.
Second in ERA, just a fabulous season. So he's got 2 second place finishes in the Cy Young in last handful of years. That's pretty impressive.
And you know what I liked about this interview, which you're about to hear, is that you talked about how he's like no BS on the mound and he really gets after it. But you see like his personality in this interview. And Zack he's a lot like Roy Halladay and like some of these elite guys on the mound, but off the field, he's really chill, really laid back. In fact, I remember, I think it was 2 postseasons ago, before he pitched in Atlanta, I'm standing in the dugout myself, and I can't remember who else was out there. I think it was Matt Gelb. And Zack comes out before game 1 or game 2 of the series, whichever one he pitched, and he just starts talking to us. And I'm sitting there going, oh man, I hope he pitches well. And I hope no one has a photo of me chatting with Zack before this game, because people get superstitious about that stuff. But he is really laid back off the field, total hardcore pitcher on the field. And that's why he has a chance to win a Cy Young every year.
It's been a great 3 greats signing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Seems to get better every year. And when I watch the way how dedicated he is to his craft and the condition he is in, I still feel like the best is yet to come. I feel like he might cash in on one of those win a Cy Young one of these years. And of course, the big prize is the World Series. That's what he wants more than anything. That's what guys in that room want more than anything.
And here's something. I'm going to throw this out there because as Hall of Fame standards shift over the years, man, if he has 3 Zack Wheeler type years, I wonder if he could enter the conversation. He's not going to have the wins, of course. He's not going to have the strikeouts. But in terms of dominant pitchers for an extended period of time, we might down the road be talking about him as a potential Hall of Fame candidate. We'll see. We'll see. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think you're going to enjoy this. Here we go. Our conversation with Zack Wheeler. Zack, thanks for joining us. Spring training has started. I think talking to a lot of the guys already the first week, they're really excited about this team, even though you guys haven't kind of crossed the finish line the last few years. What has you excited and what has you confident about this team in 2025?
Well, first things first, I think we're a good team. We did well last year. We got to where we wanted to be. We just didn't finish the job. We won the division, won a lot of baseball games, made it to the playoffs. We're happy with that. But at the end of the day, you can be happy with that, but you want to win a World Series every single year. And that's the goal coming in the spring. And so, that was about the only letdown last year was, just not finishing the job. And, I think that has us a little more hungry, especially with the group of guys that we had. We came close the past few years. So, I think finally just getting there and, kind of putting our nose down at the right time and go.
And the last few springs, you've come in 2 springs ago with the sweeper. This past spring, it was a split. And then I asked you the other day, I kind of knew you wouldn't have another pitch because there's only so many pitches you can throw.
Yeah.
But do you come into this spring, I know you're always trying to get better and take that next step. What's the point of emphasis, if it's anything, this spring for you?
I don't know. I don't know. Like you said, usually I come in with something new, so I'm kind of concentrated on that, and other stuff will kind of just, fall into place. But I don't know. It's nothing really, pinpointed this year. Just getting your work in, as everybody would always say, and just throwing strikes, staying healthy, and just getting through the season.
Zack, year 6, right? Year 6 in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
What is the experience becoming a Philly, coming to Philadelphia meant to you? Because it just seems like you get better every year. It seems like it's been a great marriage with the team, with the city, with the, your coaches, and you just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, hopefully that continues. It's hard to get better and better every season. It's just sometimes it has to do with a lot of luck, and I have a good team playing behind me. I have good defense behind me. That definitely helps. And, I have people pushing me on the staff, pitching staff, and Caleb also. So,
right.
Just all those factors kind of adding up over the years, and, just having that drive to get better also. They give you this contract, and you don't want to let people down. You don't want to let, your family down, your name down, that type of stuff. And, when you're walking around, you don't want people to look at you a certain way. So you try to do the best you can and, live up to that contract, if not exceed it.
You mentioned the contracts. You starting now are the highest, have the highest 1-year salary in the history of Philadelphia sports. What type of responsibility comes with that?
Kind of just the same thing I said.
Yeah.
It's living up to that contract. Now I got a new one. So, it's up there, and I gotta live up to it the best I can. Hopefully that works out. I feel great. So hopefully I can continue just to kind of build on what I've been doing.
I remember your opening press conference. You spoke a little bit how you were eager to see how the Phillies analytics program could help take you to the next level. And then your first spring training, you said you were eager to throw to JT Realmuto, those being factors on why you chose the Phillies. Can you speak on, what the Phillies analytics program has done for you to help get you to that next level, and what your relationship is and throwing to JT and whatnot?
Yeah. I think Caleb has done an awesome job. I got to give a lot of credit to him. I've always had a good fastball, but off speed's always struggled, finding basically what pitch kind of fits me the best, and then improving that and throwing it for strikes and good quality strikes and stuff like that. So he is a nerd in the aspect of he can dive into all these numbers and angles and this and that. He knows how to look at a ton of different stuff and kind of shrink it down and give it to me how I kind of soak it in. And that's a lot of visual stuff for me. Caleb could sit there with a ball and spin it. This is how the ball needs to be spinning, not like this, but like this. And I see that. I'm like, all right, well, my hand needs to be here to make it spin like that instead of here, that type of thing. And you see results kind of right away. So it's that type of stuff that kind of, relates to me. And I've been able to kind of put it into, put it into play, so to speak, pretty quick and have those results. And, JT, give all the credit to him. He does all the homework. I think you guys talked about this with him before, but I really don't look at any video. I know guys from over the years, what I've done to them to a certain extent. And then, I've gotten better as my career has went on of how to read hitters or situations, or maybe what this guy's trying to do in this situation, that type of thing. And then Caleb, in between innings, we're all talking. I think he talks with JT, and then he kind of comes down and gives me the game plan of how we're going to attack that inning or a certain hitter when we get to him, that type of thing. Also, JT does all the homework, and I may shake him off once or twice a game, if that.
Just a lot of trust in JT then, right? I mean,
I tell him just call the pitch and I'll try to execute it. That's our thing.
And then a lot of trust in Caleb too. So like the previous 2 off seasons, when you come to camp with the sweeper and then the next camp with the split, is that something that he goes, hey, I think this is something you should do? Or is this something you can go, hey, I feel like I need something else? How did those conversations go?
Well, I think the slider was kind of struggling a little bit.
Right.
Like it kind of always has over the years, just not necessarily shape-wise. Like shape, it could get a little bit better, but just throwing it for a good, strike. It's always low. It's always a ball. And so I never got chases off of it and stuff like that. And I tend to throw like thigh up. So when I throw something low, they really don't even go after it. So Caleb just kind of came to me, hey, this is the kind of the new thing going around. And he was with bWAR in Cincinnati, and bWAR kind of started the whole, sweeper phase. So, he introduced it to me. I tried a few different grips, and I found one that kind of mimicked my curveball just a hair. So I was comfortable with the grip. I just had to change my angle a little bit more. And, once you start playing around with that angle, it kind of messes with your fastball a little bit. So I kind of had to go back and forth in between starts. Some starts it was this, some starts it was that.
Okay.
And then the split, we talked about it during the off season. I need something that goes the other way.
Can you show us how to throw it?
Sweeper?
The sweeper, and then like they're put to that camera.
Yeah, so the sweeper, I basically just hook that seam right there.
Wow.
And try to make this, the horseshoe right here, or the train tracks, whatever you want to call it, kind of just keep going that way. That's my thought on it. And I'll keep it going.
Okay.
I don't know if that's technically right, but that's my mindset, and that's what helps me. So I just got to make sure I don't start doing that and trying to make it go. I got to keep my arm up, because that's where my fastball is, and just trust it and throw it. And then the split, we tried a few different ones. And before, I was kind of just like a normal split like that, with my fingers down on the side. But then I started going up with my other fingers for whatever reason. It just feels more comfortable, and I started hooking that seam a little bit.
Interesting.
And my thumb's just there. I basically don't even use my thumb, but my thumb's just there for a little bit of brace on that side. So just throw it like a fastball.
What do you consider your bread and butter?
Fastball.
The sinker or the four seam, or
both. I can usually throw my sinker whenever I want, and it's going to be there. Certain days, you're not just going to have it, but most of the time you have your fastball. Maybe it's not location that day. Maybe sometimes the other team is just whacking it, like happened a couple times last year, and kind of get lost when that happens. But that's when you got to kind of shift the game plan and try to do something a little different, maybe.
Yeah. How often does that happen? You have a game plan, you know that the other team you're facing, you know their hitters, you warm up in the bullpen, you come out and you're on the rubber in the game, and you just trash it all because something's not working, or something is really that you didn't expect to work is working.
Yeah, it was like kind of last year. I go back to that Baltimore game. I felt great. Fastball was flying good. I was hitting my spots for the most part, and they were just whacking it. So kind of goes to like, all right, do they have something, or are they just hitting it that day? Sometimes you got to give the other team credit, and it's hard to do as a pitcher, but I've learned that over the years. You don't like it when you're out there, but after the game, you're like, oh, either they had something or you just got to give them credit, and kind of went back, and I don't think they had anything, but you just move on.
How do you handle like frustration on the mound? You make a great pitch, they flare one, 2-run score, you lose the lead in the 7th inning. How do you refocus on the next at bat? Is that something that you've always been able to do, or is that something you had to work on? Is there like a trigger for you to kind of resettle so you don't let it spiral on you?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of growing up, my brother played a little bit of pro ball in the minor leagues, and my dad coached and played. So they kind of just had that mindset of, never show up your teammates. If something happens bad, you just get right back on the rubber and try to make your pitch and kind of just shut it all down. So that's why I always say, when somebody gets on second base, really lock it in, and that's your goal, not to let the guy score. But that's my mindset, and that's when you really bear down, try to make those pitches.
You are kind of one of the leaders of a dying breed, the 200-inning workhorse, and you got to 200 last year. I think you got to 213 in 21. How important is that mile post for you?
Yeah, it's important. We, as a starting staff, especially me and Knowles, we try to, all right, well, we got to get 200 innings and 200 strikeouts. That's the goal. And, if you're doing that, you're probably helping the team. And you're definitely helping the bullpen. So if we're able to go out there and give good quality innings late, that's a big plus. If we're going out there and getting shelled in the 6th, 7th, 8th, then that's kind of, it's not really worth it. But if you're going out there and doing well for the most part later in the game, then, it definitely helps the team down the stretch in the playoffs when it really matters. And just try to keep those guys fresh out there.
Go ahead, I was going to say, we've talked a lot that you really do remind us of like guys like Roy Halladay, just on the super aggressive. You're not wasting pitches. You're not messing around out there. And one of the things with Roy was that he did not like people coming to the mound. And I'm sure you heard like JT says, like, when I go to the mound, Caleb said the same thing. He said there was a game in Cincinnati where he almost, maybe a stare kept him in the dugout. I don't know, but can you speak to that mentality you have on the mound, just being aggressive and just, the mound is yours? And
it's not even the mound is mine. It's just, when they're coming out there, it's usually because something bad has happened or they need to slow things down. And sometimes I like it. I need a breath every once in a while, and
right.
Especially during the hot days or whatever it may be, middle of the summer, you need a little breather. But sometimes you're very mad out there. I might not show it, but you're pretty angry because something bad is happening, and then they come strolling out there, and they try to ask you questions, but you're still fuming on what happened. So it's kind of hard to have a conversation with them. But usually, they just come out there, and Caleb just asks us questions or gives me a little pointer here and there. Maybe stay back, or you're flying open a little bit, that type of thing. So, they're just trying to help.
Right. Zach, we got Andrew Painter here in camp, and a lot of excitement about that young man. And you were in his shoes one day, number 1 first-round pick with the Mets. Any advice that you can give him, or what would be the best advice you could give him? And who was the guy who gave you advice on the way up?
It's tough to say. I didn't go to many big league camps before I went to big league camp and was in the big leagues. So I didn't really have, people that kind of go off of. I had some good pitching coaches along the way. Steve Klein, my first year in pro ball, low A, down in Augusta, he helped me out a lot. He wasn't necessarily helping with the pitching aspect, at least with me, mechanical stuff, but what to expect, how to act like a big leaguer, and all that. He pitched a long time as a reliever in the big leagues.
Lefty,
so
right?
Yeah, so he had, he's been there, done that, and he helped me out with that type of stuff. But once you got up, you're in New York, and it was me and Harvey, and then other guys coming up, and you didn't want to get lost, so you're trying to really concentrate and beat somebody. And I think that's what kind of pushed me also.
Great stuff.
Do you think you have 3 years, this is your new contract, what are the odds that at the end of year 3, if you're healthy and pitching really well, you go, you know what, maybe I keep it going? Because I know you've said this is probably it. Have you ever thought about it, or is that just way too far away?
It's far away, but I'm pretty sure I'm done after this. But, time will tell, and who knows? I never want to say never, but more than likely I'll probably be done after this. That was kind of the goal.
Yeah, just because, family time is so important, and you miss so much, right?
I got, 4 kids and my awesome wife, and I want to spend time with them too.
Right.
You just saw the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Can you fantasize what it would be like to win a World Series in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it a few years ago with them also, and we want to get there. We want to, like Harper always says, have that parade down Broad Street and just have people celebrate us, and let the city enjoy it. They like to enjoy championships there.
Do you you mentioned 4 kids? They're going to start playing ball, I imagine, right? T-ball maybe at some point, or
Maybe just
maybe?
let them find
Let
out
them
what they
figure it
want
out.
to do. Yeah.
If they would. I asked you this a couple of years ago, like before the Little League Classic and like Little League season is starting. What would your advice be to like parents who are trying to teach the kids how to throw a baseball? I don't know if you remember what you told me. A lesson.
Yeah,
Your dad.
yeah, it's probably just figure out how to throw the baseball properly to help protect your arm. And in Little League, you're just there having fun.
Right.
You're not trying to. You're always trying to win games, but you're also having fun at the Little League level. I mean, it's all fun and games there, and you're learning how to play the game, learning how to play it right, and learning your body and that type of thing. So just trying to keep your arm healthy and not overdo it and get burnt out.
It's great stuff, Zach.
Zach, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate the time. It was fun,
thanks
man.
for having me.
Man, that was great. I loved it. Jim, what'd you think?
I thought it was great too. I go back to what I heard Dan Plesac say on the MLB Network a few weeks ago. He called Zack Wheeler the perfect pitcher. So that was a nice little glimpse into the mind of the perfect pitcher. And I love that he showed us those grips. Yes. I'm going to go home and try them in the backyard.
I am too. I'm going to see if I can teach everybody in my son's Little League how to throw like a good nasty sweeper. What do you think?
Yeah, bring that.
That's not advised.
Bring that sweeper to the what is it? The Marple Newtown Little League.
Exactly. So I will say this. One thing that Zach did tell me a few years ago is he said, tell kids when their hands are small, 3-fingered 4-seam grip until their hands get big. So 3-fingered 4-seam grip. Zack Wheeler, thanks again. That was a lot of fun. We'll be back next week. Jimmy, I'll smell you later, bud.
Smell you guys.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.